The laughing room, the training hall on Station 9, was loud. Voices echoed through the metal walls as recruits from different worlds sparred and shouted. In the center of it all stood Lena, a new human recruit, wearing a basic combat uniform and holding a practice staff. She was small compared to the others, especially next to the towering alien species from distant systems. Most of them ignored her. Some didn't. A tall recruit with blue scales and 4 arms nudged his companion and laughed. "That tiny human? She won't last a cycle," he said loud enough for Lena to hear. Lena didn't respond. She just breathed slowly and waited her turn on the training mat. Her boots felt too big, her hands too cold. This was the Galactic Combat Academy, the top joint military training center for all Council species. And she was the only human in this batch. "Next pair," barked the drill sergeant, a bulky insectoid creature with voice like cracking stone. Lena stepped forward, but her opponent made her pause. Across from her stood Thoric, the most feared trainee in the entire station. He was from a species known only as the Hollow, and he towered nearly 8 feet tall. His armor was darker than space, his eyes glowing faintly with red light. Some whispered he wasn't just a soldier but a biological weapon. The recruits around the mat fell silent. "You should bow," Thoric said in a deep, rough voice. "Human custom, yes?" Lena blinked. "Only when we respect someone," she replied calmly. The watching crowd chuckled. Some expected her to drop her weapon and run, but Lena took her stance. "Begin." The sergeant shouted. Thorak moved fast too. Fast for his size. His first strike was aimed to intimidate, not injure, but Lena dodged. His second came lower, sweeping her legs, but she jumped back just in time. The room buzzed with surprise. For the next minute, Lena danced between his attacks, using speed and instinct. Her body moved not like a warrior, but like someone who had learned to survive. Not polished, not powerful, but precise. Then she did something no one expected. She touched her, staff to his neck. The strike was clean, sharp. A single moment of silence followed. Then Thorak stepped back and went down on one knee. The entire room gasped, not because Lena won, but because he bowed. The monster of the academy had submitted. "To you," Thorak said, his voice low. "I kneel." The sergeant froze. The recruits whispered. No one understood. Lena stared, confused. I didn't mean to," she began, but Thorak interrupted. "You could have ended me. You didn't. That is power and mercy. That is command." The silence grew heavier. From that moment on, no one laughed at the human recruit again. Asterisk whispered names. News of what happened in the training hall spread fast. By the next morning, everyone on Station 9 had heard the same strange story. Hollow warrior had bowed to a human. Some believed it. Others thought it was a lie. But one thing was clear. The atmosphere around Lena had changed. She walked through the corridors quietly, eyes straight, back stiff. Recruits who once pushed past her now moved aside. Some nodded. Some just stared. Even the officers took notice. Lena didn't understand what was happening. She hadn't done anything special. At least that's what she believed. All she did was survive. All she did was stay calm and think faster than fear. But to the others, she had done something impossible. No one had ever seen Thorak kneel. Inside the mess hall, Thorak sat in silence. He took no food, spoke to no one, but when Lena entered, he stood. Not all the way, just enough to acknowledge her. She sat across from him, unsure. "You really didn't have to do that," she said. Thorak's red eyes blinked slowly. "I did," he said. "You showed strength, quiet strength, the kind that is rare." Lena poked at her food. "I wasn't trying to win." I was just ... trying not to lose. That is why you won, Thorok replied. The others in the hall watched. Even the staff behind the food counter whispered to each other. A voice came from the table beside them. She's just a human, one of the scaled warriors said, not bothering to lower his voice. No one should kneel to that. Thorok turned, his head slightly. And yet none of you made me kneel. The table went quiet. Lina looked down, not wanting more attention. But Thorok wasn't finished. You mock what you fear, he continued. That is weak. No one replied. The silence said enough. Later that evening, Lina was called to the command deck. She walked through polished black floors and glowing data screens, unsure what this meeting was about. Inside, Captain Rel waited. He was tall, silver-skinned, and spoke with the smooth tone of someone used to power. Recruit Lina, he said. You've created ... a disturbance. I didn't mean to, she replied quickly. He raised a hand. No, that's not a complaint. It's a curiosity. We've been observing Thorok since his arrival. We placed bets on who would survive him longest. Lina didn't smile. I didn't survive because I was better, she said. I was just lucky. The captain chuckled. Luck does not make monsters kneel. Lina stayed quiet. He leaned forward. There's something about you, and now the council wants to know more. They've asked for a live demonstration. Her eyebrows rose. What kind of demonstration? A mock scenario, the captain said. You will lead. Thorok will follow. And the other species? They'll be watching closely. Lina swallowed hard. I'm just a recruit. You're more than that now, the captain said. You're an example. She left the command deck in silence, her heart heavy. Back in her bunk, she sat alone. The stars outside blinked through the narrow window. She didn't want to be famous. She didn't want power. But somehow, it had found her anyway. And in the next few days, the entire galaxy would be watching. The test begins. The mock operation was set inside a giant training dome 20 kilometers wide and filled with rocky terrain, broken structures, and artificial weather. Lightning cracked above. Wind howled through the ruined CITYSC, APE high above. Hidden in tinted glass rooms, representatives from 25 alien species watched from observation decks. Generals, scientists, diplomats, all had come to see the human recruit who had gained command over a hollow. Lina stood at the edge of the field in her combat gear, heart pounding in her chest. Thorok stood behind her like a shadow, silent, still, waiting. An instructor handed her a small communication device and map tablet. Your mission is simple, he said. Find the flag at the center of the city. Bring it back. But it won't be easy. What's the catch? Lina asked, eyes scanning the holographic map. The instructor smiled. You'll be hunted. Simulated, of course, but the dangers will feel real. Lina nodded. She looked back at Thorok. Will you follow my orders? She asked quietly. Thorok gave a single slow nod. Your word is command. Lina took a breath. Then let's move. The gates opened. The moment she stepped into the dome, everything became real. Thunder cracked. Rain poured. And from the distance, she could hear the mechanical roar of approaching drone hunters, fast, armed, and relentless. She moved quickly, choosing side alleys and broken walls as cover. Thorok followed close, his huge frame shockingly silent for his size. As they reached the outer ruins, a drone shot down from the sky. Cover! Lina shouted. She ducked behind a rusted metal wall. Thorok didn't flinch. He stepped forward, raised a hand, and caught the drone mid-air with a single crushing grip. The machine sparked and fell silent. Useful, Lina muttered. You gave the command. I obey, he replied. They pushed on. From above, council observers leaned in. She commands with no rank, said a snake-like ambassador. Strange. The hollow only follow strength, another added. But it wasn't just strength. It was how Lena moved, how she adapted. She didn't shout orders. She gave them like a suggestion, with calm logic and trust. And Thorak responded like a soldier who respected, not feared, dash or dot. After an hour of sneaking, fighting, and dodging, they reached the center tower. The flag sat at the top surrounded by drone guards and artificial traps. Lena scanned the field. We can't rush it, she said. Too many watchers. Thorak leaned close. I can distract. You retrieve. Lena looked up at him. You'll take all the fire? I was made for fire, Thorak replied simply. She hesitated. If you fall, I will not fall. Not while you still stand. Her chest tightened. Go, she said. Thorak roared a sound that shook the dome. Drones turned, fired, launched nets and blasts. He leapt forward, smashing, breaking, taking hits like a walking tank. Lena sprinted through the chaos, slipping past beams of light and landing hard on the top platform. She grabbed the flag just as alarms began blaring across the dome. Seconds later, Thorak stood beside her, one arm burned, but eyes still bright. You've done it, he said. Together, they raised the flag. The dome lights dimmed. The simulation shut down. Above, the council chamber was silent. No one laughed now. Asterisk. Council reactions. After the mock operation ended, Lena and Thorak stood in silence as the lights slowly returned to normal. The flag in her hand still fluttered. It wasn't just cloth anymore. It had become a symbol. One of the instructors approached, tablet in hand. His voice was stiff. The council would like to meet you, he said. Lena blinked. Now? He nodded. They've never made a request like this before. She followed him through long glass corridors, her boots echoing. In the silence, Thorak walked behind her, his injured arm already bandaged with tight, black armor fabric. When they reached the viewing chamber, heavy doors hissed open. Inside stood a semicircle of observers, leaders, warriors, scholars. Some looked curious. Some looked disturbed. A tall elder with golden skin stepped forward. His eyes were glowing. Blue, his voice soft but sharp. You are the human recruit? He asked. Yes, sir, Lena said, standing straight. You led a hollow into danger, and it followed you. I gave a plan, she replied. He chose to follow. The council members murmured. Another voice chimed in, cold and metallic. Hollows are bred for war. They don't follow orders unless broken. What did you do to him? Thorak's voice rang out suddenly, loud and thunderous. She did not. Break me, he growled. She earned my respect. The room went quiet again. She saw me not as a weapon, he continued. Not as a beast, but as a thinking being. Lena stayed quiet, letting his words speak for them. Both. An insect-like counselor leaned forward. Then why submit to her? Thorak looked around the room. Because none of you ever treated me like I was alive. That line hit harder then. Any weapon. Lena finally stepped forward. You all trained me to survive, she said. But maybe what scares you is that humans don't survive by force. We survive by choice. We adapt, we learn. And when someone trusts us, we give everything. In return, more murmurs. Some counselors looked uneasy. A few looked impressed. Then the elder in gold raised his hand. The room fell silent. We came today expecting to watch a human fail, he said. Instead, we saw something new. Not just strength, but unity across species lines. He looked at Lena directly. You are not just a recruit now. You represent something larger. Lena frowned. I didn't ask for that. True leaders never do, he replied. He turned to the rest of the chamber. Let this event be entered into record. The human and the hollow completed the mission with perfect coordination, no loss, and no violation of council rules. Some nodded. Some remained still. Lena took a breath. When the meeting ended, she stepped out onto the walkway with Thorak beside her. She looked up at him. You okay? She asked. I've faced armies, he said. That was worse. She chuckled. Back. In the common area, everything had changed. When she walked in, the other recruits didn't just glance, they stood. Not in fear, not in mockery, but out of respect. One stepped forward, a short female with bark-like skin. You led him, she said quietly. We all saw it. Lena didn't know how to reply. Another added. They're saying you might be assigned early. Real missions. I'm still just learning, Lena replied. But the galaxy is watching now. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling of her bunk, thinking, why her? Why now? And what was this strange path she was walking on, where monsters followed her and rulers feared her silence? Asterisk divide and silence. The following day felt different. Lena wasn't treated like a recruit anymore. She was invited into advanced simulation drills. Her meals were delivered instead of waiting in line. Officers passed her with quiet nods. But none of it felt right. She hadn't asked for any of this. Meanwhile, Thorak had gone silent again. He was still present, still followed orders, but he no longer spoke unless spoken to. His steps felt heavier, his gaze distant. By late evening, Lena finally caught up with him in one of the underground gym halls. He stood alone, staring at a reinforced wall he had punched so many times that deep cracks showed through the plating. You're avoiding me, she said. No, Thorak replied, voice deep and calm. I am avoiding them. Lena stepped closer. What happened? Thorak didn't answer right away. Then he said, they came to me. Late last night, 2 council guards. They offered freedom. Lena blinked. Freedom? From what? From you, he said. They said if I walk away now, I'll be assigned command over my own strike team. No restrictions, no human leader. Lena's jaw clenched. They're trying to separate us. Yes, Thorak said. They fear what we are. Lena looked down, thinking. What did you tell them? I told them I follow no coward's path. Her heart eased, but her thoughts didn't. They won't stop, Thorak, she said. They're scared that someone like me, someone normal, could stand beside someone like you. It shakes everything they believe in. He nodded. Then, let them tremble. Suddenly, the lights in the gym dimmed, and an emergency tone echoed through the station. Priority alert. All recruits prepare for live deployment simulation. Level 6 clearance. Report to Deck C7 within 5 minutes. Lena's blinked. A message flashed. Recruit Lena. You are team lead. You may select one partner only. She looked at Thorak. He didn't even ask. I'm with you, he said. At Deck C7. Officers briefed them quickly. A research vessel in the outer sector sent a distress signal. Pirates raided the cargo, and now a hostile bioform has been released. It's escaped into the test habitat. The instructor looked around at the other watching officials. This mission is real. The threat is real. But the location is contained. Consider this your final test. Lena narrowed her eyes. So you want us to go in and clean up your mistake? Officer smiled thinly. We want to see what your partnership can survive. She could feel it now. This wasn't just a test. This was designed to break them. If they failed, the council would finally have their excuse to shut the bond down. The transport ship dropped them into a massive jungle dome, hot, wet, full of shifting shadows. The beast had been released hours ago. A violent mix of claws, venom, and Speed. Lena led through dense trees, keeping her pulse calm. Thorak moved like a silent tank, eyes scanning. "Any plan?" he asked. "Keep eyes high. These things like to drop down. If it tries to split us up, we don't chase we. Trap it." Thorak nodded. "Agreed." Moments later, a branch above cracked. They froze. Then it struck. A blur of bone-white claws launched from the canopy, teeth flashing, tail snapping. Lena ducked and rolled, and Thorak caught the beast mid-air, slamming it to the ground so hard. The earth shook, but it recovered fast. The monster moved like liquid violence, circling, lunging, pulling them apart. "Thorak!" Lena shouted. "To me now." He broke from the fight and ran back to her. The creature followed, leaping straight into their trap, a pit hidden beneath large leaves and roots. Lena had spotted earlier. It dropped in. Howling. They stood together. Panting, Thorak looked down into the hole. "Alive." "Good," Lena said. "Now they know." He turned to her. "That no matter what comes," he said, "you are my commander." "And you," she replied, "are my shield." The comms cracked with static, then silence. Up in the council room, no one spoke, because in trying to break them apart, a galaxy had just made them stronger. Asterisk. The council's offer. Lina stood in front of the council chamber once again. Her uniform was torn, still marked from the jungle mission, but her eyes were steady. Across from her sat the highest-ranking council members, watching, silent, cold. Golden-skinned elder spoke first. "You have shown more than skill," he said. "You've shown leadership that crosses bloodlines." Lena didn't speak. Another counselor, a thin one with bright green eyes, leaned forward. "Human, we offer you a chance. Full command. Not of just one soldier, but of an entire multi-species battalion." Lena raised an eyebrow. "Why?" "Because it's time," the elder replied. "Time for something new. But with your strength, not his." She understood immediately. "You want me to leave Thorak behind?" A short silence followed. "Yes," the elder said simply. "The Hollow is powerful, but unpredictable, unstable. He follows you, but we question if it's loyalty or obsession. We offer stability, status, full authority without him." Lena's voice stayed calm, but inside she was boiling. "I didn't ask for this power," she said. "But you've earned it," the green-eyed counselor said quickly. "And it must be shaped, trained, guided by those who understand how the galaxy works." Lena's fingers curled into a fist. "You want to shape me," she said. "Not for unity, but for control." She turned slightly, scanning the room. "Let me ask you something. If I were from any other species, would you ask me to abandon the one who stood by me through fire and blood?" The silence told her the answer. She didn't wait for permission. "I refuse." "The Golden Elders." Expression darkened. "You walk away from your future?" "No," Lena said. "I walk toward it with the one who earned it beside me." She stormed out of the chamber and found Thorak waiting near the shuttle docks, arms crossed. He didn't speak, just stared. "They offered me command," she said. "I heard," he replied. "They said I could have it all. If I left you behind." Thorak's gaze dropped. His voice was quiet. "Would you have taken it?" Lena stepped closer. "I'd rather fight beside one true ally," she said, "than command 1,000 who don't believe in me." A slow breath escaped Thorak's chest. Then, without warning, he knelt again on one knee. "For the last time," he said, "I kneel not out of duty, but out of choice." Lena placed a hand on his shoulder. "Then rise," she said softly, "as my equal." That night, a message came through the station. A real one. A distress signal far from the core worlds. A science station under attack. Communications lost. No backup available. The captain summoned Lena. We need someone to lead the first response. Team, he said. All eyes are still on you. Lena nodded. I'll take it. The captain added, the council says you can take anyone. Except the Hollow. Lena's reply was instant. And they'll have to find someone else. The captain hesitated, then smiled faintly. That's what I was hoping you'd say. Later, as she and Thorak prepared for launch, Lena looked at the ship's maul. Fast and barely armed. Not exactly a fleet, she muttered. Thorak grunted. One ship is enough. When it carries the right people. They boarded side by side. For the first time, not as recruit and monster, but as partners. Asterisk. The day the galaxy watched the science station hung in space like a ghost, dark, broken, and silent. Its outer hull was scarred with laser burns, and the emergency beacons blinked slowly, like the last heartbeats of a dying thing. Lena stood at the front of the small command deck, watching the feed as their ship approached. Beside her, Thorak checked weapon systems. His armor hummed quietly, rebuilt and reinforced. Life signs? She asked. Faint, replied the computer. 7 detected, station staff. 1 injured. Lena nodded. We go in, find survivors, and get them out. Fast. Thorak loaded his plasma blade. And if the enemy remains? We do what we always do, Lena said. We stand together. Inside the station, everything felt wrong. Lights flickered. The air was thick with burnt plastic. Hallways were twisted, some half melted. They moved slowly, Lena in front, Thorak close behind. Then they heard it, a scream sharp and short from deep within the labs. They ran. Rounding a corner, they found 2 scientists cowering beneath a shattered console. Behind them stood something huge, metal and bone fused together, a pirate creation. A weapon meant to terrify. It turned. The thing roared, charging. Lena raised her sidearm, but the creature moved too fast. Before she could blink, Thorak lunged forward and slammed into the beast with full force, driving it through the wall. Metal screamed, sparks flew. The floor shook. Lena dragged the scientists back. You're safe, she shouted. Move to the airlock now. They obeyed. She turned just in time to see Thorak rise from the rubble armor, cracked, face bleeding, but eyes burning. I've got this, he growled. Lena didn't argue. Instead, she climbed to the control platform overhead. From there, she spotted an energy conduit above the monster. If she could reroute the power flow, Thorak. Hold him in place. He understood instantly. The monster roared again and swung wildly, but Thorak caught it, arms shaking, as he locked it in place beneath the hanging conduit. Lena slammed her palm onto the controls. Blinding arc of electricity shot down, engulfing both of them. The creature shrieked, convulsed, and finally dropped dead. Thorak dropped with it, smoke rising from his armor. Lena rushed down, heart racing. Thorak. He groaned, alive, barely. She laughed through the tears forming in her eyes. Stubborn, thick-skulled monster. You say that like it's new. They evacuated the station with the remaining survivors. Once aboard, Lena sent a direct message to the council. A simple video. It showed Thorak kneeling once, then rising, then fighting beside her. At the end of the clip, Lena looked into the camera. This is what happens when species trust each other. Not fear, not control. Belief. If that frightens you, maybe it should. The message spread like fire. Across 100 systems, it was watched, debated, praised. Feared. But no one forgot the image of the hollow protector and the human girl standing side by side in victory. Later, when they returned to the academy, the other recruits didn't just nod this time. They saluted. Weeks passed. Lena was offered her own ship. This time, there were no conditions. She took it, but only after assuring Thorax stood beside her on the bridge, and so began a legend. Human who led with heart, a monster who followed by choice, in a galaxy that would never laugh at human recruits again. Asterisk.